I think the whole think local, act global, think global, act local is quite interesting as a way of understanding mission and Christian activity, because I think they are fractals, really. And I suppose I got into this from the micro, which was noticing through my work with leaders in business how even the best intentioned felt really restricted by the kind of environment they were in and felt quite powerless about changing that. And therefore felt, even if they went on all the training programs in the world and were the most ethical person in the world, they would still not be able to do the good they needed to do. And that made me worry about the macro and worry about the assumptions that we're living and breathing that aren't helpful. So I guess I've come at this from a macro sort of level, looking at the structure of the market and the rules that have created the market we've got, in order to free us up to be more confident about acting local, because it's the sum total of all the locals that will create the global change that we need. I think a lot of people think that when they read the book's title, Capitalism's Toxic Assumptions, that I'm sort of coming to bury capitalism, not to praise it. It's actually the reverse. I think that capitalism is a hugely beneficial system. I think it's about trying to understand where the toxicity has crept into it. So where is the healthy body cancerous, and how do you operate, or how do you laser it out, or whatever the metaphor would be. And what I notice is some of the assumptions that were good design assumptions in the 18th century in Edinburgh just don't work in the kind of world we've got today, which is global and connected at a level driven by technology that Adam Smith could never have envisaged. So for me, it's about trying to understand, where have these gone wrong, and are they operable? Are they healable? Where can we find ways to rebuild the entire system so that it is more resilient and sustainable in the future? I think prophecy is a brilliant metaphor for this, because of course prophets are never popular in their own time, in their own lifetime, in their own town. Actually, I find that my generation and the generations younger than me totally get this. I think the guys that are about to hit the golf course are still really worried about their pensions and really worried about their legacy. The more enlightened ones get that legacy could be really special if they pay attention to this. The others are just terrified that it might be an implicit criticism of everything they've ever stood for in their lives. So I do see that there are still some of the old guard who will defend stakeholder, shareholder, particularly shareholder mentality and competition to the hilt. I think younger people who have seen the world in a different way and seen the hard end of the world through this kind of regime that we've been operating under, are hungry for change. I think we're seeing that all over the world. It's not just the revolutions and not just social media campaigns and not just nationalism in Scotland or people being batty about Jeremy Corbyn. Everyone is starting to find their voice. We just need to mobilise that and coordinate it a bit better. I'm hugely optimistic because I just think you get the market that you want. And I think we do want it, but we didn't realise that we could get what we wanted. I think we thought it was someone else's decision. And I think all over the world, whenever people do just decide it's their turn and it's their job, and they get up and they create these extraordinary social enterprises and they create these massive campaigns, and they just decide that people need a better deal, it just happens. It happens overnight. There's no big drama. It's a bit like Naaman and leprosy. All he needed to do was swim in the Jordan. It was that simple. And I do feel that there's already the evidence, it's already a direction of travel. This is not actually new, any of this. It's just that it hasn't been explained in a way that ordinary people can understand before. And it's all been about economics and complexity around public policy. It's not been about normal people who run businesses and our consumers just changing what they do, just gradually in small ways, but that multiplies really fast.